So more than half of dog owners are saying they're having this issue. Your dog is talking too much, or as my team would say, yapping. So if you're having this problem, you're not alone. And that's why I'm here today, because we're going to talk all about barking. And if you didn't know, there are 5 main reasons why your dog may bark too much. So let's just jump right into it. So of course, dogs bark, but sometimes they bark too much and it can be too much. So what can we do to help our buddies? The first thing is to understand why they bark. As I said before, there are 5 different reasons. The first one is boredom barking. It sounds just like what it is. Your dog may bark because they're simply bored. They may not get enough exercise. They may not get attention that they want. So it's best to try to keep them busy with as much play as possible and exercise. I say a tired dog's a good dog. So making sure they do have toys and stuff that they will actively engage with, even if it means going out getting new ones. Number 2, they may bark because they have separation anxiety. So that is just characterized by your dog not feeling comfortable being home alone, or sometimes they can't even be in a separate room alone. And so they may bark because they don't want to be alone. And so with separation anxiety, it can be challenging to do it on your own. But one thing you can do is reach out to a trainer like myself to help you work through that. But also just start leaving your dog home alone in small moments. I talk about small moments of separation, which just means that if you're going to the bathroom, leave your dog alone. You're going outside to do the yard work, leave your dog alone. What you're teaching them is that you are coming right back. You can do that in the meantime, but if you feel like that's not being effective, it is something that does need a trainer's guidance. So feel free to reach out. Number 3, barrier frustration. What that means is that your dog's blocked by something, whether it's a gate, a fence, a window. And so they start barking and they get frustrated because they can't get to what they want. And so with barrier frustration is going to be most important to keep your dog comfortable where they're at. And so they're not frustrated. Ideally, I see a lot of barrier frustration with fence runners, running the fence and things like that. Of course, one simple thing you can do is if there's a time of day where your dog's running up to the fence or barking and things of such, give them something to do in the yard. I like tossing a bunch of treats and letting them sniff. It tires them out and it's going to keep them from being at the fence and barking and being frustrated because they can't get through. Also, if it's indoors and they're frustrated because they're behind a gate, usually, to be honest, it's fear of missing out. So even placing your dog in an area where they can't see much going on or trying to decrease the noise so they're not hearing all the excitement that they truly are missing out on. Number 4, this one is one that I've seen a lot and I get a lot of calls about, is the demand barking. It sounds just like what it's named. Your dog is demanding your attention for one reason or another, and they learn that's what gets their attention. And I'll tell you how they've learned that. Because when your dog barks, and I'm guilty of this too in the beginning, what do? We look, right? And they're like, ooh, that worked. I'm going to do it again. And so inadvertently, whether we look because they bark or we're doing something, we look in their direction, they think it has worked. And so they continue that behavior. So if your dog is demand barking, one thing you can do is ignore them. Wait till they are quiet for a few seconds. And then you say, hey, what do you want? And so usually you know what your dog wants, but you want to make sure that you're not rewarding them by looking to them or saying their name when they're barking, and just wait for them to be quiet. In training reference, you can train your dog the quiet cue. My other dog's not up here. Pal definitely knows that. Where they're barking too much, you say the word quiet, you wait for that pause, and then you can give them a treat or whatever. But they start to learn the word mean quiet to truly mean to be quiet. Number 5, watchdog barking. This is another popular one that I'm getting calls about as well. Watchdog barking just means your dog's either sitting out the window, usually that's what I'm getting calls about, sitting looking out a particular window, or running from window to window, just watching and waiting for passerbyers, cars, doors, cats, small prey, all those good things they're waiting for. And so they become a little watchdog. So again, one thing I talk to my families, if I was working with you, what I would tell you is if your dog's barking out the windows, immediately, if you have shades, close them. The more we can decrease the chances of them actually barking out that window, the better. And as you see over here, I don't have shades on all my windows. So if that is you, what you want to do is block that entrance or have your dog in another area if they are barking out a particular window, just so they're not practicing that behavior. So whether, if you're working from home, what I've seen is folks use their office and have their dog in there, or one thing they'll do is you can use a long line and keep your dog tethered No, it's not mean. It's a long line. And what you can do is keep them by you so they're not watchdog barking. But what we would do in training context is we want to train your dog to come to you. And I'm going to throw in a quick training tip. Even though this is more so to, get you started right away. Practice recalls and practice them often. If you're saying, oh, but I am practicing the recalls, and my dog's still not coming. So either two things, either you want to practice more because it's not practice, you have maybe not have time to practice enough, or you want to start rewarding your dog for those recalls. I always say no one wants to work for free, including ourselves. So you have to pay your dog for coming to you. Of course, you don't have to pay them all the time in the future, but starting off to get them to come and call all the time. If you're sitting at your desk, you're watching TV, whatever you're doing, I always say keep a little small bowl of treats and just give them a little treat when they come to you. If you don't have it all the time, that's fine, but give them a little head rub. The point being is you're going to reward them for something, and that should build up on them coming away from that window in addition to lowering the blinds. And I always say if there's a particular time, your dog's going to be barking. I know early in the mornings are good times that I hear about dogs barking, like that 5 to 8 when people are going to work and kids are going to school, but also in the evening when people are coming home from 5 to 7 or midday, because now since COVID, everyone's working from home. So if there are particular times that your dog is barking from the window, you want to be sure to keep them with you. Okay. So those are the 5 different types of barking. There's different types of barks, different sounds, but that's a whole nother live. But just to kind of recap, boredom barking, your dog's bored, make sure you're giving them something to do. Separation anxiety, they're afraid to be, not afraid, but they're leery, some may be afraid to be home alone, or they're leery. So you want to work on those small moments of separation, but definitely reach out to a trainer like myself to help you along with that. Barrier frustration, which means that they're frustrated by being behind a barrier, whether it's a car too long, backyard too long, whatever it may be. So you just want to make sure that your dog's in a comfortable area and then not having that barrier frustration. And demand barking, which your dog's demanding some type of attention. So you could teach a nice quiet. And also you want to make sure you reward them for the quiet and don't look to them. Just wait a few seconds. And last, watchdog barking, which means your dog's looking out the window at something. Pull those blinds down and practice those recalls. So one or all may apply to you. Take your time, work through them. By the end of the day, drop a comment below if you have any questions. But other than that, I'll be back next week with another great topic and a common topic that you have asked me to speak about. Bye.